Cool. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Alternative Movement Podcast. My name's Craig, your host, and today we are joined by James Henderson, all the way from America. James, how are you?
Hello, great to be here. I am fantastic. The weather, not so much, but hey, we're doing it.
We are doing it. Well, we're inside anyway. At least you ain't got to do the podcast in your garden, so the weather ain't too much. I guess it ain't affecting you too much.
Not at all.
Not at all. Cool. James, how you been? You good?
I'm great. Hey, Sunday fun day.
Sunday fun day.
How are you?
Yeah, good, great, man. It's just after 3 p.m. for me, so I think it's a little bit earlier for you. So I'm already a little bit ahead of my day, probably in comparison. It's 10 a.m.
5-hour difference.
5-hour difference. I always panic when I talk to people in America. I think because where I send you over a Zoom link, on my end it says 3 p.m., but obviously it would be a 5-hour difference on your end. So I'm like, I was sitting there thinking, is he gonna? I should have already mentioned it was 10 a.m. But no, you got the hang of it anyway, so it's all good. Cool. So we've had a chat beforehand. We all know what Alternative Movement Podcast is about. We're talking about different disabilities, different adaptive training methods. So today we're going to start off with finding out a little bit about yourself, James, if you don't mind. Tell us a bit about yourself and a bit about your backstory.
Well, I'll try not to talk your ear off, but
no, please do.
I am James Henderson. I am 36 years old, born with Spina Bifida. But that's not my life's story. I may have a visible disability. It is a chronic, lifelong physical disability. However, you may see me as disabled, but in everything that I do, and everything I see that I want to do, if I think for a second I may not be able to do it, then I've already had that hesitancy that, oh, well, maybe I'll try something else. But no, that's not the way I look at things. I look at it as, hey, how can I do this? And then I try. So that is how I have gone through life. I just try to be the best version of myself. I don't try to be anyone else, and I don't try to compare myself to others. We all slip into that because we're all human. We want to be better. We want to do great things. We want to, well, look at that person. Look at that person. But if we stick to our own true self, that's all that matters, because you can't be anybody else. You can't be in anyone else's shoes. You got to be in your own shoes. And that's the way I was raised. I mean, to have a great support system like my parents, that's the way they've taught me just to be myself, to be happy in whatever I have achieved and whatever I'm going to accomplish in the future. And if I leave one person feeling great, feeling good, and smiling, that's all that matters. Because at the end of the day, you could have thousands and thousands of people follow you, and you can be this great public figure. But how many of those thousands of people do you keep in close contact with and like really know you? If you, I mean, I don't have a great following, but I had people that still talk to me because of the impact I've made, the difference I've made, and the close friendships I've made matter more to me than having thousands and thousands of people like my post and comment. I believe if you have the ability and the mindset to be your best true self, have a great support system, whether it be your parents, a close friend, a relative, and go through life doing the best you can. You're nothing else matters.
No, you're not going to lose. You're on a win-win.
My motto in life is, I actually had to come up with a quote in a yearbook for high school. And I said, never give up, quit your crying, live by my motto, keep on trying. And people have said to me, well, when do you stop trying? Like, you keep trying the same thing over and over again? No. We weren't born into this world to do everything, but we were born into this world to do at least one thing. So if you tried your best at something and it's just not working out, it doesn't mean you failed, it's not meant to be. So you just move on to something else, because there is a purpose for everybody. And you just have to give that purpose a meaning. And if you stick to your beliefs, you hang on to your support system, and you be your true self, then you can give that purpose meaning. It's just all thanks to my parents for raising me the way they did. So I'm getting a little.
That was one of the things.
I'm getting a little off about myself, but yeah. So that is myself. The never give up attitude, always keep going. And let's see. More about myself. I graduated back in 2006 from college. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, and yeah, just currently trying to stay motivated in the world we live, the pressures of society, and I'm also currently a disability advocate, and I'm just trying to maximize my efforts in helping others in putting my best foot forward in that.
It's a great attitude, man. It's a very good attitude. It's always good to have that positive outlook on life, 100%. So I would like to ask you the question. Tell me a little bit more about spina bifida, and maybe explain to the audience exactly what spina bifida is, and specifically in your case, a little bit about how you've not used that as your crutch, because obviously, as you said, that doesn't define you as a person. What you're about and your motivation and your lifestyle defines you as a person, but this is something you live with. So how have you personally overcome living with spina bifida?
Yeah, sure. I'm aware of my disability, and I'm aware of the things that I may not be able to do, but you'll never hear me say, I can't, or I quit. I can't do this. I'm well aware of the things that no matter how much I try, I won't be able to do. But I have an understanding. I may not always accept it, because there are some crazy things I want to do. And some people say, well, just try. And some people just don't understand it's not going to happen. But hey, so I'll try anyway. Most of the times I just try anyway, because those people who say, well, you should just try, or they say, you shouldn't try, don't even do it. You have two of the extremes. You have, I think some people like to see others fail sometimes, for their own personal gain in some way. And hey, so I'll just try it, because I may surprise myself and actually be able to do it. And then I made a fool out of them. It's better for me to make a fool out of them than to make a fool of myself. But if I do make a fool of myself, so what? It's not hurting anyone. but my pride. And as long as I say whatever, that's all that matters. But I'm well aware of my disability, and it's there are struggles daily with living with disability, but I try my best not to think about them, and I just try to do the best of my ability with struggles I face. I cannot walk on my own. I use braces and crutches.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I use a wheelchair. Um, Wheelchair for longer distances. I prefer to walk. It standing means good posture. Walking
Mm-hmm.
means everything in balance. Fluctuating your insides for normal blood flow and things like that. Better exercise, more cardio. But I mean, you can also get that in a wheelchair too. I use a manual wheelchair, not a power manual.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like going on hikes in my manual wheelchair. I like racing up and down. Downhill, watch out.
It's a little bit more
Uphill, not
scarier downhill.
uphill, not so much. But again, I love the challenge.
Mm.
Um, there's not many struggles that I personally face living with disability. It's with others, people's attitude, people's concept, people's perception. Uh, that to me is the hardest. You're not supposed to care what others think, but when you have that many people saying different things over and over again, it can be annoying. That we are in 2021 and still some people's attitudes are very negative and very incorrect.
Yeah. I would say there's
Uh,
an element of naivety about it. I don't know. I think that's what I'm trying to really break down with what I'm doing here, and that's to expose these concepts and misconceptions with people with disabilities, and sometimes it is that fact that because of the unknown or people ain't educated on people with different disabilities, it's not knowing how to tackle it or approach people. I've had many conversations with some of my clients, some other people online, and that is down to like the staring if you're out in public, like looking and thinking, oh, what's wrong with them? Is it just a physical disability? And all these different concepts that are built up and wrongly built up in their heads. Maybe not through fault of their own, just through fault of society. But no, you're absolutely correct. I suppose we do get told not to worry about what other people think, but we do. These things do play on our minds.
it's only human,
Mm-hmm.
and things can weigh on you if you hear it constantly.
Yeah,
Uh,
because it's not just once or twice. It's, I guess, if you are in a wheelchair, you're getting it daily when you're out
yeah,
and
I mean,
about.
and I love to, and I'm outgoing. I love to be out there. I love doing different things, going different places. But when when you run into that, like, I had jobs where you get one spectrum or the other. I had people say to me, "Oh, it's so great that you're working, having a disability. It's bless you." Or I'll have, well, what else do you do? Nothing. Is this your only thing?
Mm.
Um, and I'm like, no, I do other things. And bless me for having a job. There's many people with disabilities that have a job.
Mm.
Like, why? And
Maybe more so because your one is you can see you have if you're in a wheelchair, you can physically see that disability. Whereas obviously with hidden disabilities, someone may have a stoma bag and still have a job, but you could class that as a disability as well. But no one would probably say anything like that because it's hidden. It's not something in the line of sight. And I had an interesting conversation with someone the other day, and they were speaking. They was at a coffee shop, and they said they saw a woman, and I believe it to be their son, which was next to them. The son was in a wheelchair, and the woman was at the coffee shop and was ordering, and the person that was serving said, "Oh, and what does he want?" And the woman went, well, why don't you ask him? Because we've built up that conception that because you're in a wheelchair, that there's a lot more wrong potentially with you than meets the eye. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know. I've been out with friends, and I've been out with my parents. And, I mean, instances where people will talk to either my friends or my parents, and not to me. I'm like, I'm sitting right here. You could, also direct your question to me. You could also direct your story to me. I don't get it.
No, I mean, as I say, it's not a nice thing, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do: break down them barriers with what I'm doing. However, I don't blame people for this. It's just a sort of a society that we've sort of grown into.
Right. But again, I think the way to overcome this is to not try to change the person, because that is the hardest thing, to try to change someone's perspective. You're not going to change everybody. If you can make an impact and a difference in one person, then maybe that one person can carry on what you're trying to do, and then it goes on and on and on and on. You start with that one person, and then maybe you can attract more people. But you got to start with yourself. Like I said, if you have a great belief in yourself, faith in yourself, you stick to your beliefs, and you have a great support system of friends and family, or either or, and you stay to your true self, and you don't give up, and you keep trying, you can overcome some of these misconceptions and misperceptions that people have, because you're not, in my honest opinion, you're not going to change everyone.
No, but you can educate.
You can educate.
You can definitely educate. So you mentioned about your parents. Your parents had a big impact on your life, and was very supportive. Yes. Is this been from a young age? Have they always encouraged you to
since birth?
Since birth. Would you like to tell me a little bit about that, and how they've impacted you throughout the years?
Well, when I was born, to my recollection, my mother would tell me these things. One thing is, she was told, "Hey, here's the next FDR, one of our U.S. presidents, who had polio, still president and still carried on." And my mom said to her, "He's not the next anything. He's going to be James Henderson, and he's going to do many things." She never put me up against anybody else. I was going to be my own individual. And both of my parents, I'm sure they didn't know how to do everything, but because they tried so hard, and they decided that they were going to welcome me in this world with unconditional love, why not make them proud and carry on that same mindset, that I'm going to love myself and treat others the same way, who I care about. And I can't say enough about them. And it's hard to find words, because there's not really a way to describe of how they've been there for me. And I can't ever repay or even come close to what they've done for me.
I think you can repay them in what you're doing now, and that's develop this strong attitude and trying your best to motivate yourself and push on, because ultimately that's what they've wanted for you. Even though you was born with a disability, born with spina bifida, they've not wanted you to let that get in your way and ruin your life and be the thing that controls, or the factor that controls your life. And you've not. So no. I think even though you say you can't repay them, I think by doing what you're doing, you have.
No, and they only ask for one thing from me, and that's to be happy. And they said that's repay enough.
Yeah.
to smile every day and be happy, just be happy who you are and be happy with what you're doing. And um, if nothing else comes up big for you, if what you've done is all you can do, we are happy with everything you've done, and uh, never think that if nothing else comes up, that it's the end, because something else could come up, like we're doing right now. I never thought possible.
Mm.
My mom always just said to me, if you think things if you think things can't get any worse, they might turn out better than you imagine.
Mm.
You might hit a lull and nothing's going on for you, nothing's happening, and then boom, one day, all of a sudden, someone recognizes you and wants to do a podcast with you. Um,
That's it, man.
so yeah, so I never. There may be times where I'm like, oh, well, what else is out there for me? And then all of a sudden, boom. My mom says give it time, and my dad says, just be yourself. And they're two hardworking people, so I've learned a lot from them.
They've led by example, and they've taught you a lot. But also, obviously, going back, when you was born, you said you was 36 years old. There wasn't the resources that there is now. Like your parents couldn't have had you, and then said, right, okay, this is what he's going to be living with. Okay, let's Google it. There wasn't Google back then that
No,
you could just go and find all this information. So, and not going back in, I'm talking about going back in 15 years ago. I've spoke to some parents with kids with CP, and they've said, right, okay, your child's got CP, they've got this condition, they've got this other problem, deal with it. And it's like, how do you deal with that as a parent if you haven't got that knowledge, you haven't got that resources? And for your parents to have stayed so strong and so motivated in making sure that your life is going to be a success and you're going to be happy and you're going to not let this thing be the deciding factor of who you are, I think that's great. I think that's an amazing support system to have.
yeah, they certainly didn't have the amount of resources we have today. So
they've done it the old-fashioned way. They've trial and error.
And my mother, she developed toxemia, and for her to come out of that and be okay, and for her and my dad to make decisions when I was born, just not even think about it, just okay, we're going to do this. And especially because of all the pressure from the hospital staff being negative about the way that I'm going to live my lifestyle. Either we can, because when I was born with spina bifida, they said we can operate, and there was like this sack on my back, and we can put the sack back in. We can operate, and you can take him home and give him all the love you can, but he's not going to function, and or he can live out his life the way he is right now, and eventually die. So they weren't really optimistic. My parents like, no,
I think I've heard
you.
a lot of that. Yeah, a lot of that from different people in what the medical professionals have said. There's not a lot.
My parents said, do what you can, and do the proper surgery, and he will live out his life. And here I am.
That's it. And I'm sure they wouldn't have done anything differently.
I don't think so either.
No, they'd have done exactly the same things. I mean,
Same
what
thing.
can you do when you're faced with them situations? It's a tough one as a parent to be told all these things and right, okay, you've got to make this decision right now as to your child's future and what do you want to do. And obviously they've chose to work and to work hard and make sure you're going to have the happiest life, and you have, and you know what I mean. It's paid off.
No, yeah, they stitched that sack back in my back, and here I am 36 years later, and I go on and on with all the things that I've accomplished. But um, my parents have always been there for support in everything I've done.
Absolutely. And as you said, you've paid them back by doing what you're doing today. Staying motivated. So obviously we're talking about adaptive training. We spoke prior to this as well, and you told me you like going on hikes as well. What sort of things do you do, and how have you adapted your training in order to get the most out of it?
Well, I tried personal trainers. I've tried gyms. For me, what works best for me is at home fitness, doing what I know, doing what is best for me. Most of what I learned is from working out at gyms and with personal trainers. The equipment that I've used in gyms, the attitudes I've had from personal trainers, the equipment that is available, the space that I have here at home, and my creative ways of thinking, and listening to my body and how each exercise affects me. I mean, I push myself, I challenge myself, but I'm also smart because I know how far, even if I try to take it that much further, I know how far I can go. And I don't have people there to say, oh, come on, you can do better. I have my own mind in saying, okay, you can stop, or you can go one more rep.
I think that's the tough thing for training at home. I definitely found that during lockdown, obviously with the gyms being closed. I didn't have my same support group personally around me, and it was the case of I would go into my garage. I have a set up at home, like set up in the garage. I'd get up at 6 a.m, and I do remember when I first had this setup made, I'd go into the gym. I didn't feel like training. I didn't have that energy that a gym would provide, and having others around you. So it was very much you're left with your own thoughts, and you're the one that's got to motivate yourself in regards to training. So did you find that there was any specific way that you motivated yourself? Did you follow any particular plans? Was there any online resources that you found beneficial to you?
Well, when I was 10 years old, I started as a wheelchair basketball athlete and also in track and field. And with that training from our coach, and in high school, I was in a weight training class. I learned a lot from that. And so I was able to carry over things that I've learned there to at home. And people say to me, well, why don't you go to a gym? And why don't you work with a personal trainer? And I'm sure it's great to work out with someone or have someone help you. Just my experience is not, I've always been a positive one. Again, we're not supposed to think about what others think, but I don't have to worry about people looking, people staring. People, I had an instance where I was doing push-ups in a gym, and I felt this pressure on my back, and I'm like, they can't be getting hard already. I've only done like 10. And then I look at my back, and there's this huge plate on my spine, which is a big no-no. I spun at Biff, and I mean, it crushed my spine.
Yeah.
So I was looking around, and this guy was laughing. And I said, did you put this weight on my back? He said, yeah, it looked like it was getting too easy for you. You need a challenge. I said, you could have damaged me severely. Oh, I didn't know. And then I had another time where I was re-racking weights, and I caught my finger in one of the weights and I jammed it and was asking for help. Every other guy laughing. And so I had to help myself and got my finger out. And even the head trainer, he's like, well, how did you do that? I'm like, if I did these things at home, at least I have my parents to help me out. And they would understand.
And did you find on these occasions they left you with a bit of a bad experience and a bad taste in your mouth in regards to mainstream gyms?
Absolutely. I mean, and it was way different when I was in physical therapy because at least they had a background of working with different types of people. It was their job to support and help you heal and help you progress. These people that had the bad taste in my mouth, they had no idea what they were doing. They had no idea what they were thinking. They were just thinking on impulse, and that's why
it doesn't always pay off.
No. No. So yeah, so I've been working out at home for many years now, and I'm always trying to find different ways. That way, I'm not doing the same thing over and over and over again. Because I know it gets to be boring if you do the same exercises over and over again. You're not really doing anything for your muscles if you keep at the same reps, the same exercise. So yeah, I've always found ways to change things up and always keep it interesting.
Definitely, and I think that's once again we're going back to the internet. That's the beauty of the internet. You can find loads of different programs, loads of different ways of training, different methods, different exercises, and and there's a plan for everyone. And the thing is,
in school,
it's cool.
In school, they didn't want me to take gym class, and I said, well, why don't you want me to take gym class? And this is all through school life. We don't want you to take gym class. Take another class in place of it. Do more choir. I was in choir. Do more choir. I'm like, well, no, I'm doing gym class. Well, you can't, because you can't do the things that they're doing. Watch me. So I can recall this a time where they were doing a rope, climbing a rope, and a student was climbing a rope. Some of the students complained, I can't do this. And then the teacher skipped over me, and I said, well, I'll try. He's like, really? Like, she had that look of, you're going to humiliate yourself. Well, she went from that look too, because what I did was, so I had braces on, and I can't really, I'm saying can't, but I'm unable to climb a rope, because I tried that the first time, and I can't really do that. So what I did was I laid down on my back and I reached for the rope, and as I kind of levitated climbing the rope that way, instead of like in a standing position and climbing like most people do. And she went from look of like he's going to humiliate himself to, wow, it's a miracle. Like I love that look. Some people have like, wow, he just performed a miracle, like, because it was never going to happen.
How could he possibly do this exercise?
How could he possibly do that? But it's okay.
I think that's what you was trying to prove there, that the fact that just because you can't do it the way another person can do it, there's always an alternative way to do it or an adaptive way to do it. And you obviously knowing your body, you was like, okay, right, I can't do it like that, but I'll try it like this, and it paid off.
And most of the students, they were different. Like I find to this day, the younger generation, um, kids, I more appreciate their way of thinking.
Mhm.
They seem to have more of a, I don't know, an educated mind. I guess because their minds are more open
Mhm.
to more of a possibility of other things and the way things can happen. They're not. Uh, I'm assuming that maybe adults, adults are more close-minded. Children just like
Inquisitive.
they're
They're
not.
more inquisitive and more
Yeah,
open,
more
as you just
inquisitive.
said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's
Eh,
as of late, really, more inclusivity, especially in schools, have opened up massively, massively.
And when they look at their parents and they want to know more, like, oh, why is he in a wheelchair? Why is he using crutches? Their parents are like, oh, come on, honey, come on, come on. I'll get some parents to say, let's go over and talk to him. But a lot of times it's, come on, let's go. Let's go. He doesn't want to be bothered. No,
So
no, no, I want
would
to be
you rather they
bothered.
ask the question? You do, yeah. Would you rather they ask the
Yeah,
question?
of course, because
Hmm.
the kids should be educated at a young age.
Hmm.
I'm not going to hit them with everything. Uh, they're children, but just the basics, so they don't think I fell out of a tree.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I think that's the common thing I'm hearing off of a lot of people is rather to be ignored or avoided, they would rather be approached and ask me why I'm in a wheelchair. Ask me why I'm using a frame. Ask me about my disability. I'll happily tell you. I'll happily educate you because then it opens up that dialogue.
And I think it's true of training too. Like
Hmm.
kids are more optimistic and positive. Like they're more amazed than inspired. Good.
I think we're good. Guys, for anyone that
Okay.
was listening, just said we just lost signal. So there will be some post edits on here, post production edits. So bear with us. But James, I completely lost track as where we was then.
Oh, so anyway, so kids, um, I think they look more with amazement and inspiration. I mean, it's good to be inspiring, but not like in everything. Like, oh, he got up in the morning. That's inspiring. No, it's not. It's a daily thing you do. You get up. Some people don't feel like getting up. Sometimes I don't feel like getting up. I'm not a morning person all the time. Um, and some people don't want to get up and face the outside world. And when they eventually do, yeah, it's inspiring for them. But for me, that's not an inspiring thing. It's just something I do. It's not. I'm disabled. I got up in the morning and I'm facing reality. Wow, it's inspiring. No, um, that's why I think the younger generation, because it's so much more open minded. They
Hmm.
uh, they often tell their parents um, more like it is. And I think sometimes they urge their parents to find out more because I can tell sometimes as they're walking away, like, no, but mommy, daddy, I want to know. I want to talk to him,
Hmm.
and I do welcome it. I've worked with kids for many years, and so I know what to say, how to say it, and uh, I just I think parents should be giving their kids an opportunity to learn about people with disabilities, about inclusion, and especially today's world, we're so focused on making the world more diverse. Well, we should also focus on making the world more inclusive.
Hmm. And I think, especially at the moment, with the Paralympics going on, it's almost like everybody wants to know a little bit more. Everybody's a bit more interested, but then for the next 4 years, it sort of dies back down again, and that interest drops off until the next Paralympics or
Yeah.
any sport like this. But yeah, I mean, with Paralympics, and especially at the moment, I don't know if you follow CrossFit or anything, but with the CrossFit Games, adaptive athletes, that's becoming a big part of CrossFit as well, where they're getting just as much limelight as the individuals, as the mainstream, the CrossFitters, which is great. And honestly, it's for me, that is inspiring. Like I'll turn on the telly and watch one of these guys climb a rope with one arm. I could barely climb a rope with two arms. See a guy climb a rope with one arm, then that's what does it for me. And like, how can you complain about anything after you've just seen that?
I love it. I mean, I like I said, I was in wheelchair basketball and track and field for 10 years. And again, if it wasn't for my parents, I don't think I would have went as far. I couldn't even make a basket when I started. And my mom went over to one of the older athletes and said to him, "Could you have a talk with him?" And I didn't know it at the time, but that's what happened. He had a talk with me, and pushed me, and I just kept trying. And eventually made a basket, surprised myself, and was an all-star on the team, track and field. My father pushed me on the track. Did this one time, did a 400-meter race, and the opponent I knew was faster than me, and I thought I might not win this race. And as I'm circling the track, my dad's going with me, and he at this one point just says, "Go," and I just go full speed. And if I'm serious, if it wasn't for him, I probably would have lost that race because I was losing steam. But him just saying that word "go" and believing in me, I won that race. So yeah, now that the Paralympics, I love it. I love seeing other disabled individuals getting into sports and accomplishing. I just wish that when I was in wheelchair basketball, track and field, there was much more attention to it. But I think back then, just like my parents had a lack of resources when I was born, I think there was a lack of awareness of disability sports.
Yeah, and
More
what
of
options there are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. And I mean, that would have made a big difference. And I think for me, that's why I got into this industry, not just for like the impact that fitness can have on able-bodied people, but everybody. The impact that fitness, the community that you build, the friendships that you make through it, the impact it has on your life. You know, you get stronger, daily tasks become easier. The fitter you are, like, you'll be surprised, well, you probably wouldn't, but like speaking to some of my clients or people I've taken on before, like just to walk up the stairs is a challenge. Like you get to the top of the stairs, I'm out of breath. And then if you can then work with someone and then make them fitter, and these small tasks, which was to them quite big, now are small. So the impact it can have on people's life is amazing.
So you asked me about, how I train. I think learning through your own personal experiences was for me better than to actually learn from other people. When you're able to do something on your own, it gives you more sense of a pride, and it opens more doors for you if you build on what you've learned yourself. I've built on my fitness a lot. I've taken to that next level, and it that always worked out. Like back in 2016, I took my fitness to do kind of what you're doing now. I went on social media, I posted a video, and I said, "Look, this is how I exercise. I'm going to show you how I do an exercise, and I'm going to educate you on adaptive fitness using the stuff you have at home. And I did that for a few years and called it hashtag Motivate You Monday because I did it on Mondays. And through that, I got on 2 radio stations,
Nice.
one locally and another one summer vacation. I saw this radio station and I banged on their window and I said, "Can I come in and talk to you?" And they said, "You can do better than that. We'll put you on air." So and I had a new station come out to my house, but eventually I don't know what happened. The attention for it got lost, and so you know what? I said in the very beginning that I was going to do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And if it ends up to where that's it's going to be that way, then so be it. I do it for others to make a difference, to make an impact. But if it's going to come to an end, then I'm fine just doing it for myself.
Mm.
And so another opportunity came where we had the pandemic, and my grandmother back in 2019, before the pandemic, she suffered a couple of strokes, and I don't want to say opportunity because I'm not happy of it, but what I did was she needed rehab. She needed to do exercises to help her recover. So I took that opportunity to help her. I wasn't looking to gain from it. I was just looking whenever I do something like this, I was just trying to help and make a difference because I'm always
You
want to
wanted
help others.
you wanted to improve her quality of life.
Yeah, I didn't do it for gain. However, I started showing pictures of me working out with my grandmother, posting videos, and people loved it. So I was published in a local newspaper,
Oh wow,
and
cool.
still to this day, it's taken off. People want to know about it. People want to know about my grandmother and how I helped her. She passed away in October 2020.
Sorry to hear
But
that.
she she motivated me a lot. So when she passed away, some of that motivation passed on with her. But looking back on how I was able to help her and how she helped me, that has helped me carry on with
So,
my fitness.
so talking about, obviously you've got many factors in your life that motivates you or motivate you. So your grandmother being one of them, your parents. Is there any other things in your life that motivate you?
Looking forward to what next day can bring. If you're one who says, "I've seen it all, heard it all," I don't think you have. Because just wait. I've done it all. There's no more I can do. Well, just wait and be patient and see what the next day can bring. You never know. You never know what can happen. And so that is what motivates me. Always looking forward.
Always wanting to know what's around the
Uh,
corner.
yeah, it's okay to backtrack once in a while. Reminisce,
Mm-hmm.
go down memory lane, but not in a negative light. Look at all the things that you have done. Look at all the things you've accomplished. Look at all the places you went to, experiences you've had, and build on it. There's a lot of things I've done that I miss and wish I could turn back to time and do it all over again. That's human. We all want to do that. We all want to win a time machine and go back.
Live in the glory
But
days.
yeah, you can't. You got to move forward. And I don't know what's going to happen 5, 10, 15 years down the road. I don't know what's going to happen next week. So just having an open mind, saying, well, I'm looking forward to what's going to happen. That's what motivates me. And I accept that living with a disability. People will ask me, is there ever a time where you think, I wish I wasn't disabled? I wish I didn't have some of the things that comes with it. Some of the struggles I have, to have to find my own way sometimes can be a challenge. It may take me longer than someone else. May take more steps than someone else. But I say this: I am who I am, and I have what I have. And if I was able to get some sort of miracle operation, cure myself, there's no cure for spina bifida. But if there was, I wouldn't take it. Because this is me, this is my life, my lifestyle. It's the whole butterfly effect thing. You change one thing about yourself, everything could change.
Yeah.
And I like the way things are right now. So
I think that's quite a common statement I do come up to with people. No matter what the disability, I'll always put the question to them: if you had the option to reverse or change or be, I don't want to use the term normal, because what is normal? I would use the term able-bodied. They give the same response as you just did right now, and that's no, because this has made me who I am. This has made me motivated. So one of the things one person said to me once was, if I wasn't disabled, I would still be an athlete, but I wouldn't be half the person I am today because of the lessons I've learned and been taught through being disabled or having a disability. And I think that was such a powerful statement and really sort of impacted me. And I think that's a great way to look at it, because there is a lot of lessons, like the things I take for granted, like, oh, I forgot something downstairs, let me go and grab it. Like, it's, for me, it's so easy. But for someone that needs like a walking aid or is in a wheelchair, I forgot something. Okay, this is going to take me about 10 minutes. And, you know, it's tough. It's tough. But at the same time, having that motivation and having that mindset behind it, you know, it does. And as I said, the lessons you learn is.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. There's times where I'm like, oh, I wish I could just use the stairs instead of waiting for this elevator. I hate elevators, but I know I can't. There's some days where I'm like, oh, you know what? I wish I could just for one day be able bodied and see what it's like. But it's only for one day. For the rest of my life.
So would you take that option? If someone said to you can for one day see what it's like, would you take that option?
Sure, but I want to go back to the way I am.
I love that, definitely. Man, honestly.
I'm sure a lot of people would say, oh, just for one day, I love to have all the money in the world and buy what I could, you know, and money and the price not have to worry about it, money not be an object, just be able to live the rich life. But we know that there's a lot of people out there that have all the money in the world and they're still not happy.
Yeah. Money can't make you happy, man. But I always refer back to people when I say, like, there's been things in my life that's happened, and at the time, you know, they suck, and you think, why is this happening to me? That's it. Like, I'm going to throw in the towel. But you sort of get a little bit further down the line, and you think, that needed to happen. That needed to happen at that point to make me who I am today and make me more stronger. Because ultimately, we look at exercise, we think, what do we do during training? We work out to failure. We work out to the point that we can't do anymore. Does that mean we've failed? No, because the next time we come in, we're stronger. And that's the same thing in life. If we come up to an obstacle, a brick wall, and we hit that brick wall and we fail, the only way we truly fail is if we give up and we don't push past that and then learn from them lessons and then grow as a person.
And my mom says everything happens for a reason. And that's true, because I know it. And because I've had experiences where, why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? I don't understand it, and I want to know it right now. I hate the unknown. I have sometimes I have a fear of the unknown, and I want to know it now. I want a solution to the problem. But then I find out it could be days later, weeks later, that I revisit that problem, and then a reason follows it. So you're not always going to know the reason right there and then, but you eventually find out. You may never find out. And there's a reason why you may never find out. There's always a reason for everything. And so we can't always fight something that is meant to happen. We may not always like what's going on. We may not always like the solution. We may not always like that there is no other option, but it has to be that way.
Sometimes the hardest option or the hardest decision to make is always the right one, because the one you don't want to
make. Exactly.
It's always the one you don't want to make that you have to make. That's the decision. That's well, I've always found that in my experience anyway. So off the back of that, so what is it that has made you so motivated in helping others as well? Because obviously you've been very open in regards to yourself and finding ways to help yourself. So what is it that's inspired you to help other people and inspire others?
With the way I've been raised and my way of thinking, and what I've learned from my parents, the things that I've heard, the things I've struggled with, the things that I see in daily life. I want to just keep bringing more positivity into this world. I'm not an expert in anything. I don't pretend to be. But I guess the easy answer is I really don't know. I don't know. I just more know that this is what I want to do, and it's helped me, and I guess I keep doing it because it's helped me. Helping others has helped me. To know that every once in a while I make a difference in someone's life helps me.
It almost gives you purpose, and I'll always say that with myself. And that's why I wanted to do this job, and what I do now is because I feel like it gives me purpose. Because no matter how much money you earn in this world, no matter how much assets you build, there's not, other than obviously your children you can leave behind, but one thing you can leave behind is that mark you've made on other people's lives. And hopefully that butterfly effect, that will ripple on, and they will help someone, and that person will help someone. And that's one of the reasons I've always wanted to do this job.
I keep thinking, what's my calling? And the one thing that hasn't failed me yet is making a difference and helping others. So that's why I keep doing it, and that's what keeps motivating me, because it's working. And you don't try to fix what's already working. If it's already working, you keep doing it because there's a reason why it's working. So you don't try to.
You don't resist it.
You don't resist it. So I'm saying, yeah.
If it's naturally flowing and you're naturally doing these things, then why fight it? Keep going.
I didn't have to try hard. I didn't have to go through a process. I just dived right in and found a way to use my voice and use my attitude to help others. And it's been amazing. I've had a lot of
Definitely.
opportunities using my power of speech and my willingness to lend a helping hand. So I just keep building upon that.
So what is your vision for the future? What is your personal goals for the future? What do you aim to do?
I think it's nice to have a goal. I think it's nice to have an idea in mind of what you want to do and what you want to be. Kids growing up, I think it's a great idea to uh, have this picture in mind of how you want to grow up. I just feel as though, in my opinion, don't set your sights too high. It's nice to dream, but don't dream too big that it can't be practical. There's some things in life that's just not practical. But I'm not telling people not to dream. You can dream. It might become a reality. You never know. If you set your sights too high and it doesn't happen, I feel it gives you more of a negative impact than to dream of something practical and it not happening. Saying, well, okay, like if I say, well, I want to skydive. Some people say, well, you can skydive. I said that once, and I kind of got hate from it. And someone said, well, why don't you think you can skydive? Why not just try it? But that for me is a sight too high. So if you dial it back down a bit, I feel as though it won't be so much of a letdown. But then again, things turn out better than you imagine sometimes. So it's hard, especially when you don't know what you want to do in life. You don't want to set your sights too high, but then if you don't try on the things that you want to do, then you'll never know. So it's hard. What you do is then you just take life day to day. You have an idea in mind, and you work towards it, and you have a backup plan. Don't try to do too many things at once. Don't fill your plate so much that you don't have time to enjoy life and the people that are around you. It's good to push yourself, but don't lose sight of yourself. Don't lose the sight of people around you and the people that care for you. My goal is always the same, just to maximize my efforts and helping others, and no matter what that is, no matter what I'm doing. If I keep doing that, then I'm fine. I'm okay. And hey, I ultimately want a family of my own, kids, and wife and kids. I think that for me is the ultimate goal, and to be able to be part of a family that I'm in right now.
I think that's important. I think
Family
it's
of my
important.
own.
I think it's
Wife,
important
kids.
to have that vision, as you just said, have that end goal. Obviously, making that goal a smart goal that's something that you can achieve. And as you said, deconstructing it, making sure it is something that's able for you. And as you said, your one as well is to have a wife and kids, have that family, because you seem like very focused on family. Family is extremely important to you, and man, you've kept a very positive attitude, and I can definitely admire that in you. And you've not let things get you down, and you've stayed motivated. James, keep up your good work. That's all I can say. Keep up your good work. Keep up that motivation.
Thank you.
James, I'm gonna end the podcast there. I think I'm gonna end it on a high note, because you've been awesome, man. You've been awesome. Have a great day, and I'll look forward to having you on again, I'm sure, in the near future.
Stay motivated.
Cheers, buddy. Take care, man.
Cheers.